Might be dressed as Captain America, but we're talking about Thor Love and Thunder. Hi, my name's Drew and welcome to another review video on Flying Wiener. Unfortunately I don't have a Thor t-shirt, so I thought I might as well take this. I mean, in Avengers Endgame after all, Captain America finally got to lift Mjolnir, so it's kind of fitting, I suppose. If there's a fitting Thor t-shirt I see somewhere, I might get one someday. Anyway, we are talking about the newest entry in the MCU, in the cinemas, Thor Love and Thunder. Nice for me, it was first time in 2 years that I was able to go to the cinema with my wife, so that was quite nice. She likes Thor, I wonder why. And yes, just to confirm, if you've seen the trailer and the actual film, they don't pixelate his bum, you get to see the whole thing. So if that's something that you're after, then yes, definitely go and watch the film. If that's all you need from a review, then I suppose you can stop the video here. But yes, let's talk about the film itself. I was looking forward to this. I was kind of curious to see where it would go. I wasn't too sure. Just to give you the full picture, Thor Ragnarok, I, before and after this film, still think it's the best Thor film. While it was definitely too goofy for me, it was overall a very good package. It would be an even better film for me if they had just gone a bit more with the dramatic angle, so the whole Ragnarok aspect. If that would have just been a bit more dramatic, a bit more serious, I think it would have been the perfect Thor film, to be perfectly honest. I just thought it was a bit too goofy. And it looks like that we're staying with Thor as being goofy in the MCU, and he's definitely the goofiest character because he definitely is in Thor Love and Thunder as well. But I will say that I feel the humour is more refined. So overall, he still obviously has silly jokes and one-liners and stuff, and he does silly things, but I feel that they've toned it down. There's a very good balance between the dramatic and the humorous. So I definitely prefer the humour in this one. But overall, I still feel that Thor Ragnarok is the better film. Thor Love and Thunder, if we're looking at all four of them, I would put in just underneath Thor Ragnarok, so definitely is my second favourite. And then for third and fourth place, I'm not quite sure. I would need to rewatch the first two Thor films because I'm not too sure about them, where I would place them. Thor, The Dark World, I don't see as negatively as many people do, but I would have to rewatch them just to make sure. Anyway, but those two, definitely prefer them, so I definitely prefer Taika Waititi's take on the character. I feel that he really gets Thor. Although I will say that, and maybe we'll talk about the plot, why not? So we'll do the usual thing, we move on to the plot first before we get into sort of how it was made and any criticisms I may have about that. What I find a bit disappointing about this film is that we're at the start of it, or sort of the whole story, we're basically trying to get Thor find himself again. So it's yet again a journey where he is trying to figure out who he is and what he needs to do or wants to do in life. But we have seen this quite a lot. I mean, Thor Ragnarok was about this as well. So, you know, it's kind of, why do we have to keep redoing this? I don't really understand. Why can't we just have him go on an adventure, you know, without it being really all about him rediscovering who he wants to be. But the plot is rather simple actually. I do really appreciate that. We have got this one man, his name is Gorr. He then later on gets the subtitle The God Butcher. He is a very religious person. I don't even know which planet he lives on, somewhere out in the galaxy. And he worships this one deity. So Gorr is praying to this deity because his daughter unfortunately is dying of thirst. It's a very harsh desert planet they live on, and until the very last moment, you know, he prays to his god in the hopes that he will help him. Unfortunately his daughter dies, and Gorr then, completely distraught, wanders the desert, stumbles upon an oasis that, by luck I suppose, by a small sliver of chance, actually has his god there with a group of other gods, and they are all, you know, in this sort of paradise and making fun of the humans and other beings that worship them, you know, these pathetic things. And so Gorr, you know, obviously with the curtain pulled away from in front of his face, you know, realizes that gods are not benevolent or anything, you know, and they just don't even really want to interact with us. They just see us as playthings. And he kills his deity and then becomes the God Butcher. So he goes around the universe, he sees gods as a wrong thing that should not exist, and he goes around trying to kill them all. And eventually he stumbles upon the Asgardians and sets his sights on Thor. So So he kidnaps a bunch of kids from New Asgard, which is on Earth, if you haven't been following all the plot points in the MCU. And Thor works to try and retrieve these kids. That is the basic plot of the story, and that is all it is. So we're not talking about the universe being in danger or something like that, or the whole of Asgard like in Ragnarok. So it's definitely on a smaller scale, which I appreciate and I think was a good fit. But like I said before, unfortunately we've got this thing where Thor is still trying to figure out who he wants to be. But at least he's very sure about this mission that he wants to do that, so I suppose that at least he knows. I've mentioned the humour. That is definitely one of the strong points. It's not as goofy as Ragnarok was. I feel it's a lot more subtle. He and by he I mean Taika Waititi put something in this film. I'm not going to spoil it for you because it is something you really need to experience yourself. But we have, I'll call it, new companions in this group now that are going along with Thor, and they keep reappearing and it's very funny. They do something very, very specific which is absolutely stupid. I will be honest about that. It's absolutely stupid, but at the same time it's really hilarious, and for some reason it should actually only work once, but it keeps happening during the film. And it's funny every single time, bar one. There was one time I didn't laugh because it was more of a serious moment, I'll call it. But apart from that, it is really funny. So his comedic timing is just absolutely brilliant. He takes something which is really, really stupid and makes you laugh at it again and again in one and the same film. It's done really well. The action is very good. I enjoyed that quite a lot. It was something that was very new here. You might have seen it if you've seen promotional images of the film. There's a segment here where everything is black and white and we just have some specks. Some things are in colour, like Gore's eyes for instance. And I really, really liked those sequences because to me that looked the most comic booky that an MCU film has looked until now. Really, some looked like they could really be panels from an actual comic. And just the whole thing, how it was shot, so it's definitely one of the best sequences I have ever seen in the MCU up to date. Christian Bale, if you did not know, is the one playing Gore the God Butcher. Very good choice, of course. He's a very, very good actor. I wasn't too sure about his accent. At times it seemed like he was leaning more into a British one, and again he was other times he was leaning more into an American one, so I'm not sure if that was just me hearing that or you know, whether it was a mistake on my behalf. But that was a bit weird, but apart from that, he's really interesting as this character because, you know, you can understand his motivation. And he's very creepy at times as well, so you've got some sequences here, a bit like Doctor Strange, where we've got some horror elements, and they work really well here too. One thing I really like about this film is that we're expanding the universe, so we learn of other gods. We have, as maybe you have seen it in the trailer, we have Russell Crowe as Zeus appearing, which is obviously great because you have parallels there between him and Thor. And it's just fun to see that the universe is bigger, and it does seem that we will be seeing more of them at some point, I believe. I mean, they wouldn't introduce a whole city of gods, I think, to just throw it away in one film. So it would be very interesting to see that and how that works, you know, especially with regard to humans. Yeah, one thing I will talk about is actually, to me it's a spoiler, but they put it in the trailer themselves, so, you know, I don't think it really is a spoiler. We have Jane Foster returning in this film, played by Natalie Portman, and she becomes the mighty Thor. She actually wields Mjolnir in this and has the suit on and everything. So like I say, I feel it is a spoiler. I think it's strange to put it in the trailer because I think that the reveal in the film would have been a lot cooler than actually, you know, just have it like this. But I suppose because they do it very early on in the film, you know, they felt like might as well put it in the trailer because they probably figured it was just a very good selling point, and that's why, you know, they just put it in the trailer. I suppose it works, and I do like the dynamic they have between her and Thor. Mjolnir's back, it's still shattered like it was in Thor Ragnarok, but I suppose the power within it is actually holding the pieces together. But that also opens up to more tactical new things that we see in this film happen with Mjolnir, that she can do with Mjolnir. So I quite prefer that a lot. And her chemistry with Thor, with Chris Hemsworth is still great, so it's nice to see that. And overall, the chemistry between the characters is what still holds this film together. Korg is back as well. If you liked him in Ragnarok, you'll be pleased to hear that. And, you know, it would be worth it to watch this film just for the characters alone. But the plot and everything, I feel it works really well, so I'm quite happy with that. And Chris Hemsworth himself is still good as Thor. I mean, he's the first and to date only MCU character with 4 films. I believe Captain America is getting a 4th one, but then again, it's not the same Captain America, but we still have the same Thor, so he's definitely got that going for him. And you know, in some scenes in this film, I felt like he was just even bigger than before in the previous films. You know, it looks like he's towering over people, so it's quite easy to see that, you know, if he were real, I mean Thor, of course, not Chris Hemsworth, he's of course real, but if Thor were real, he would obviously be an imposing character with the axe and everything, you know. So yeah, I feel the film works really well in that sense, but maybe you felt differently. If you did, please let me know in the comments down below. I did see online that a few people weren't too happy about this film. I don't know why, because I haven't checked that out yet. I didn't want to influence my review, but I will have a look at that later on. But if you were one of those people, please share it down below. I would be really curious. While I don't think it was the best one, I still thought it was a solid entry, you know, and I feel that, you know, it's got its place in the MCU right now, and I appreciate Thor still because he does bring this otherworldliness with him. You know, he's a god and he's an alien in that sense, so I do feel that it is something that is very interesting to have in the MCU. But like I say, if your opinion is different, please share it down below. That will be all from me today. I'll thank you for watching. If you did enjoy this video, please like, share and subscribe. It's the best way to support this channel. As mentioned, any comments you have about this film, please down below. You know, any of the things you like, which jokes you like. There are some really good scenes in here between characters, so if you've got a favourite, put that down below as well. I'll thank you again for watching, and I'll see you in the next video on Flying Wiener. Take care.